We're going to continue here with part 2. This is still section 1-2. We're going to call this part 2. And the reason that I separated these two, there's just one more example that needs to be done. But really, if people struggle, it's because of this particular type of problem. So I wanted to separate it into 2 videos. So if people needed to look back at this, then it would be easier. So this is something that right now in pre-calc, we really just need to do the kind of the background work. This is something that has a lot of applications later on, specifically in calculus. But right now, our job is just to do the algebra part behind it. So this big thing in math is called the difference quotient. Now there's kind of like what I would call a formula for difference quotient. It involves subtraction because of the word difference, and it involves division because of the word quotient. Now, what you might call the formula or whatever for difference quotient is f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. H cannot be equal to 0 because if it was, we'd have a 0 on the bottom, which is no good. So this right here is something that definitely needs to be memorized. That's the difference quotient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a function. I'm going to give you an f of x. In this example, our f of x is going to be 2x plus 3. And what the instructions are going to say is evaluate the difference quotient. For this function. So this first piece right here is f of x plus h. So all that means is you're going to plug in x plus h for x. So f of x plus h becomes 2x plus h plus 3. This whole piece right here, this is f of x plus h. All I did was I replaced all the x's with x plus h. Then we're going to subtract away f of x. F of x is right here. I'm going to subtract away the whole thing, and you do that with parentheses. So right there, I just did subtracting f of x. And then it's all going to be divided by h. So from here, all we're going to do is use some algebra skills to distribute and combine like terms and simplify it. So the first thing I would do is distribute the 2. So that becomes 2x plus 2h plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this negative sign as well. So it becomes negative 2x minus 3 all over h. I just distributed the 2 and distributed the negative. Hopefully in this step, you'll see that there's some things that cancel out. For example, 2x cancels out with negative 2x. 3 cancels out with negative 3. In this step, always, everything without an h will cancel in this step. If for some reason it didn't, that means we made a mistake and we need to go back. So what we're left with is 2h over h. And there's just one more step that we can simplify by canceling out that h from the top and the bottom. And our final answer is just 2. I'm going to do one more example with the difference quotient. It's just a little bit more involved, but still the same thing. This time, our f of x is x squared minus 2x plus 3. I want you to remember that the difference quotient is f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. So if I'm trying to evaluate the difference quotient, the first thing I'm going to do is try to find this f of x plus h. You just find that by putting x plus h in for all of your x's. So that becomes x plus h squared minus 2x plus h plus 3. This whole piece right here is f of x plus h. And I apologize, that green is kind of running out. This whole piece right here is f of x plus h. From there, we need to subtract away f of x. So I'm going to subtract away x squared minus 2x plus 3. I've subtracted away f of x. And all this stuff is all over h. Now, really, this is the hardest part here, is trying to figure out this whole first step. From here, all it is simplifying and combining your like terms using our algebra skills. So this right here becomes, I'm just going to square this part, do x plus h times x plus h. So that becomes x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. I'm going to distribute the negative 2. That becomes negative 2x minus 2h. There's that plus 3. I'll distribute the negative sign, negative x squared plus 2x minus 3, all over h. And again, this is the step where everything without an h should cancel. So the x squareds will cancel. The negative 2x and the 2x will cancel. And then the 3 minus 3 will cancel. So what I'm left with here is a 2xh plus h squared minus 2h all over h. What's going to happen is this h is going to cancel out with the h's on the top. Some people like to see an h on the top factored out. If you can skip this step, that's fine. Factor out an h, 2x plus h minus 2 all over h. Those ones cancel, which leaves us with a final answer of 2x plus h minus 2. Some people can go right from this step to this step, and that's fine. That's sort of your comfort level with these types of problems.